So today we're going to be going over the 10 things that make up a compliment beast type of fragrance, at least in my opinion and in my experience. And to start the video off, I want to give you guys some examples of the types of compliment beast fragrances that I'm referencing here. We just have stuff like this: Versace Dylan Blue, Versace Eros, we've got Dior Sauvage, and we've got Spice Bomb Eau de Toilette. All of these here are kind of known as being really good compliment getters, and there's many more out there as well, but this is just kind of an example of what I'm referencing here. Those 4 fragrances I just held up all have something in common in one way or another, and they all have something in common with the 10 different things in this video that you can look for to find a good compliment getting fragrance, just something that's very mass pleasing. You hear them talked about all the time, but this will give you an idea of some things that you can go out and look for yourself to discover your next compliment beast. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. So first thing you need to look for is performance. What if I told you that in order to get compliments, people need to smell you, right? That is crucial. That's very important. And that's why you hear a lot of people prioritize performance. And for sure, I'm with you there on that. I want my fragrance to perform decent as well. Now, it doesn't have to be a 14-hour, room-filling scent to the extreme, but something that does last throughout your average school or workday, and something that is greater than a skin scent is always necessary when it comes to getting compliments. So the 4 fragrances that I just held up tick off that box perfectly. All of them perform great both in projection and longevity. Some a bit better than others there with those 4, and there has been quote-unquote reformulations and stuff over the years, but you understand where I'm coming from here. A lot of the compliment beast fragrances out there, or basically all of them, all have good performance. Just something to keep in mind. Second thing you need to look for when choosing a compliment getting fragrance is a few key fragrance notes, and more specifically here, aroma chemicals. And I'll just go ahead and read those off. Ambroxan, Iso-E Super, Cashmeran, and this last one I just kind of lumped a bunch of stuff together and called it soft woods. If you look at a lot of the big compliment getting blue fragrances out there, of course, they all share ambroxan. That's no surprise. Even if it's not used at the forefront, like in something like Molecule 01, for example, where it's all about Iso-E Super, a lot of times it'll be kind of hidden in the base of fragrances. And even if it's not listed in the note breakdown, it's a lot of times still going to be in there. And that really goes for a lot of these aroma chemicals in this category here. And then of course we have Cashmeran, which has been somewhat of a more recently popular aroma chemical used in stuff like Dior Homme 2020 and the new Dolce & Gabbana The One Eau de Parfum Intense. Those use it very heavily. And what do you know? Those fragrances are really good compliment getters. And then finally, we just have soft woods. So you could put in like cedar wood and stuff, but it's not really, to me, as mass appealing. It's just some softer, woody, musky type of fragrances. If it's got any of those or a combination, that's usually a good start that it's going to be mass pleasing. Really, that just means that a lot of people around you are going to, at the very minimum, think it smells pleasant. And sometimes smelling pleasant is all you need to get a nice compliment. Third thing you should look for when spotting a compliment beast fragrance is a modern, young smell. So the aromatic fougères and citrus aromatics and those fragrances there, which have a bit more of a mature edge, aren't really going to be your best choice here. You're going to want to look for stuff like Sauvage and Dylan Blue and Aqua Atlantique and Eros. Those have a more modern twist and a more modern take on men's fragrances. So just narrowing it down to that group of fragrances, basically the stuff that's being put out nowadays, is going to help you find one of these a lot easier. You don't want to sift through fragrances like Eau Sauvage and stuff like that from Dior. You're going to be looking for a while in that category, and most of them there aren't going to do it these days. Those are great fragrances, don't get me wrong. I love aromatic fougères and citrus aromatics and things of that nature, but it comes down to getting compliments and having compliment beast fragrances. Those aren't it. Fourth thing that you should look for is a playful summertime scent. So these work really well. I'm not sure what it is about them, but to give you an example here, Abercrombie & Fitch First Instinct. Now, that one doesn't really have good performance. So this is one where it is breaking that thing. You normally want good performance, but it still does work. So it's not always a need, but it is for sure very much a want. So performance isn't that great. Doesn't really necessarily have the ambroxan, the cashmere, and the Iso-E Super, at least not really to my nose. It does have a nice soft woodiness though. But overall, First Instinct has this nice playful melon, summertime peppery sexiness going on. Very playful, very much a summertime scent. And when you combine that and you're wearing it out in the summertime, a lot of people are just going to be in a great mood because, the warm weather's finally here. You're out of school, you're out of college, whatever. You can do summer activities. It's just fun. People are in a great mood. You're wearing that. You're smelling good. You're smelling fun. You're smelling fresh. It's just a recipe for compliments. Fragrances like that work really well. Fifth thing that you want to look for when it comes to finding a compliment getting fragrance is you want to take a look at all the big designer brands. So I'm talking Dior, Chanel, Dolce & Gabbana, Versace, and so on. Rarely will these brands put out something that the people, the masses, aren't going to like. They're in it for making money. They're in it for having a fragrance go viral and popular like Sauvage and Bleu de Chanel and even Spice Bomb and Versace Eros to an extent. They want their fragrance to be plastered all over the billboards. They want it to speak for itself. They want word of mouth to get around. And within that word of mouth, people are going to be saying, oh, you need to get this cologne. Dior Sauvage, it gets me so many compliments. It makes these things spread like wildfire. So these brands have a lot of pressure on them when it comes to developing a new product. I mean, that's part of the reason, in my opinion, why Chanel hasn't brought anything new out yet, right? They've been pretty silent just in the regular designer line for men. Haven't really gotten much, so I think they're really behind the scenes. Hopefully they come out with something great. But again, they do have a lot of pressure, but the stuff that they have put out, everything from the Bleu de Chanels to the Allure line, Allure Homme Sport Extreme, Allure Homme Sport, and Edition Blanche, those three great compliment getters, they're good at what they do. And these big designer brands in general are good at what they do, which is creating mass appealing scents. Sixth thing that you should look for here is a rich, full-bodied, unique scent. So this is a bit interesting because a lot of times you'll be looking at fresher stuff, but there are some sweeter, spicier scents like Spice Bomb, which I just held up in the beginning, that have worked so well. And Spice Bomb worked really well for a couple of reasons, one of which the marketing, the bottle, that got it out there, right? People see the grenade bottle and they want it. So just having that cool marketing and cool presentation gets it in front of a lot of people, because normally people would probably just walk past a bottle if they just look at it, right, without smelling it. But when you see the Spice Bomb, you want to smell it. Let's be real. The bottle does look very cool. And when people pick that bottle up and they smell it, they're captivated by the spiciness, by the tobacco. It's a whole bunch all at once. It's a head turner, and a lot of people like that. A lot of women really like that too. Spice Bomb is a compliment beast. The Extreme is also very good at that too. You do have to be careful with this one. For example, something like Mancera Red Tobacco isn't going to be in the same league as Spice Bomb in terms of compliments. Red Tobacco is a superior fragrance in terms of quality, performance, and just uniqueness overall, but mass appealing side, not so much. You have to be careful. You have to stick to the designers, and you really have to kind of do your research on this one. But fragrances like that work very well when they're done right. Seventh thing you should look for, just kind of an opposite to what we just talked about, a clean, fresh, out of the shower scent. This is going to be by far the easiest one to spot, the one that's going to be the most safe. Again, you really have to know what you're looking for. You have to have, I would say, kind of a trained nose to an extent, and it sounds cringy saying that, but if you've smelled a lot of things, you'll know what's going to do good and not do good generally when you smell something new. So, you could smell another warmer, sweeter scent, something with a lot of depth and richness, and be able to tell, okay, is this going to be mass appealing? Yes, no, I don't really know. The more you've smelled, the more you've experienced, the easier that will be. When it comes to fresh stuff, it's pretty hard to mess up a clean, fresh, out of the shower scent. That's why Sauvage, Dylan Blue, Prada Carbon, Aqua Atlantique, all of those, that's why they work so well. And those are super easy to find and get along with and enjoy. Eighth thing that you should look for when it comes to finding a compliment beast scent is popularity. Is the scent popular? If it is, then that's because it works. I mean, people get annoyed, and I understand when a fragrance is talked about all the time. La Nuit de l'Homme, Spice Bomb, Dior Sauvage, all of those that are talked about outside of the community, people don't want anything to do with them because they are popular. And if you do want to smell different, then sure, those may not be the option for you, but they're popular because they work. It's social proof. They have been tried, tested, and proven, and they've come back to work and work really well, so people love it. People outside the community want compliments. They want to smell good. Those fragrances work. If you look at something and it's very popular, it's on all the billboards, everyone's talking about it, it probably gets a lot of compliments. Ninth thing that you should look for is oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes, the very highly complimented fragrances are on the more affordable side. Now, affordable is all relative. We all know this. And it's hard to kind of talk about in the fragrance community because you have designer tier and then you have niche tier. If you're comparing designer tier against niche tier, then anything in the designer spectrum is going to be affordable. If you're comparing designer to designer, that's when it gets different. There are $300, $400, $500+ fragrances out there for one bottle. $300, $400, $500+. When you compare that to a $100 bottle, come on, I mean, it's a pretty big difference. If you go and tell the average person to go spend $250 on a cologne, they're probably going to look at you in the face and want to slap you. So $100 and under, just kind of as a whole, which I would say would be pretty affordable, and a lot of the compliment-getting fragrances fall within there somewhere. And we're finally to the last point, and this one is that sometimes it's just unexpected. I've had this so many times where I'll pick something up and it really doesn't match necessarily too much of the criteria I listed off in this video. So I'm like, oh, I'll get something new, doesn't really match up. I'm like, oh, my girlfriend's probably going to hate this, might not even bother, but I might as well. I spray it on, she tries it and she loves it. I'm like, okay, wait, what? Sometimes that just happens. It's all about people's personal take on fragrances. Everyone smells differently in terms of what they perceive. Everyone has different tastes and everything like that. Skin chemistry changes it. Sometimes it's unexpected. There's weird fragrances out there that for whatever reason pull really good compliments on the niche side and designer side, but it's all relative here. It all depends on a number of factors, but that's one I just want to throw in at the end. Sometimes you may be surprised what works and what doesn't as well. So guys, that's going to do it for me. That is 10 things to look for in a compliment beast type of fragrance. Hopefully this gives you some insight, at least from what I've noticed when it comes to reviewing all of these, and maybe it'll help you scope some out in the future if you're shopping for them. Let me know some of your favorite compliment-getting fragrances down below and what you look for in those. And I will link to the few I talked about in this video at the beginning down below to discounters as well. If you're going to be shopping for any fragrances, you're going to want to do it through discounters to save some money. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.